Hello, everyone. Welcome to Topic of the Day. This is our Sunday edition where we bring to you the places that have been in news lately. Let's begin our today's discussion with the very first location as Transnistria. Now, this region has come into light after the Russia Ukraine conflict. Let's look into the map where this region is located. So, if you see the highlighted region in pink, that shows Transnistria. So, as you can see, Transnistria is a thin strip of land that is wedged between Ukraine and Moldova. Now, Moldova is also a separate country. This region is home to nearly 5 lakh people. So, it is around 4,163 kilometers square area that is situated on the banks of Dniester River. Dniester River. So, this region is a separatist enclave of Moldova, but is officially a part of Moldova. Now, Transnistria is a self proclaimed nation and it declared its independence back in 1990. Back in 1990, after Moldova stepped away from the Soviet Union. So, they have their own flag, their own currency, passport, and even their own parliament. But irony is that Transnistria does not exist officially, but it is just recognized by three other fellow states. It is a retro communist area where they still have hammer and sickle on their flag and the statue of Lenin in the city center. Now, if we talk about Moldova, Moldova is a landlocked Eastern European country. It is bounded by Ukraine to the north, east, south, and Romania to the west. And the major chunk of this country lies between the Prut River and the Dniester River. Now, if you look into the map, there are some other countries like Bulgaria, Poland, Belarus, Latvia, Lithuania. There is Russia, and also we have certain part of Russia in this region. Now, this region is an exclave of Russia. That means it is a part of Russia, but it does not have a boundary with Russia. So, the first question for today is you have to name this part of Russia. Now, let's move on to our next region, and that is the Chilika Lake. Recently, Chilika Lake was back in news as the Odisha government proposed to ban the movement of mechanized fishing boats in the Mangaljodi area on the banks of Chilika Lake. Now, why is Chilika Lake important? First of all, it is Asia's largest and the world's second largest brackish water lagoon after the New Caledonian Barrier Reef. Now, this barrier reef is located in the Pacific Ocean. So, we are talking about lagoon. What is a lagoon? It is a shallow body of water that is separated from a larger water body by a natural barrier. Now, this natural barrier can be reef or barrier islands, peninsulars, or even isthmuses. And secondly, this is a brackish water lagoon. Now, let us discuss what is brackish water. First of all, we call any body as a freshwater body wherein the salt content is less than or equal to 3000 mg per liter. And we call any body a saline water body wherein the water content is greater than 10,000 mg per liter. Now, in between these two, we have the brackish water body wherein the salt content is between 3000 mg to 10,000 mg per liter. Moreover, when the salt content is greater than 35,000 mg per liter, it is termed as brine. Alright, so why Chilika Lagoon is important? In 1981, Chilika Lake was designated as the first Indian wetland of international importance under the Ramsar Convention. It is also a tentative UNESCO World Heritage Site. So the process of formation of Chilika Lagoon started back around 20,000 years ago. Now, as you can see, the catchment includes major areas of Mahanadi River system and its tributaries. So the Mahanadi River carried a heavy load of silt and dumped the part of it at its delta. Now, as this sediment-laden river met the Bay of Bengal, sandbars were formed near its mouth. So these created a backflow of seawater into the sluggish fresh water of the Mahanadi River at this estuary. So therefore, a brackish water area, that is Chilika Lagoon, was created in this particular region. Now, the Chilika Lake is spread over multiple districts of Odisha. It is in fact 64 kilometers long in the north-south direction. So it is around 13.5 kilometers wide in the east-west direction. It is spread over the districts of Puri, Khurda, and the Ganjam districts of Odisha. And it is located at the mouth of Daya River, which is a major distributary of the Mahanadi River. flowing into Bay of Bengal and covering over 1100 kilometers square area. Now, this Chilika Lake is host to around 160 species of birds, and this lake lies in the Central Asian Flyway. In the Central Asian Flyway. So, the Chilika Lake is a major stopover of the Central Asian Flyway. So, there are around 9 major flyways in the world. And we know that Chilika Lake is the largest wintering ground for migratory birds on the Indian subcontinent, and it is also a home to number of threatened species of plants and animals. So it hosts birds migrating from thousands of miles away, for example, from the Caspian Sea, from Lake Baikal, Aral Sea, remote parts of Russia, because they find vast mud field and abundant fish stock in this particular region. Now let us talk about some of the major attractions of Chilika Lake. First of all, we have the Irrawaddy dolphins. Now these dolphins are often spotted off the Satapada Islands. Satapada Island is a bird site. It is a part of Chilika Lake. So it is a mix of fresh and brackish water lake. Now these Irrawaddy dolphins are kept in the endangered category in the IUCN Red List. And these are often found in the coastal areas of South and Southeast Asia. Majorly, Irrawaddy comes from a river which is known as Irrawaddy River that is situated in Myanmar. So the Irrawaddy dolphins are also found in the banks of Irrawaddy River in Myanmar, also on the banks of Mahakam River of the Borneo Island, and the Mekong River of China. These Irrawaddy dolphins are very social by nature and they prefer both fresh and the brackish waters. Now, there is also a Kalijai temple located on the island of Chilika Lake. It is also one of the major attractions. Another one is the Nalbana Islands, which is also known by the name Forest of Reeds. Now, it covers around 16 kilometers square of the lagoon area and was declared a bird sanctuary, that is the Nalbana Island Bird Sanctuary, in 1987. Moving on. So, there are international recognitions as we have already discussed. Chilika Lake has been listed as a Ramsar site as well as a tentative UNESCO World Heritage Site. And in 1981, the Chilika Lake was designated the first Indian wetland. This is important. The first Indian wetland of international importance under this Ramsar Convention. So I'll leave you with the second question of the day. When was this Ramsar Convention signed and where is this place? That is, in which country Ramsar is located. Also, if we talk about the Mangaljodi area, it is located on the banks of Lake Chilika and it is recognized as globally important region for the conservation of bird population. It is a major nesting area by the migratory birds that come in this region, but it is not protected by any statutory rules and regulations. And also this is around 8.3 kilometers squares of marshy land. So this was about the Chilika Lake. Let's move on to our next location, and that is the Manas National Park. So the Manas National Park and Tiger Reserve have witnessed a sharp increase in the population of tigers and rhinos in the recent times. So if you look into the map, you can see that Manas National Park is located in Assam. It is in the Himalayan foothills of the western Assam region. Also, this park is also shared by Bhutan, and in Bhutan it is known by the name Royal Manas National Park of Bhutan. So Manas was originally a game reserve since 1928 and it became a tiger reserve in 1974, a World Heritage Site in 1985, Biosphere Reserve in 1989, and lastly, it was declared as a national park in 1990. So before proceeding, let us look into the major differences between national park, wildlife sanctuary, and a biosphere reserve. Now, when we talk about biosphere reserve, it generally protects plants and animals, and it is also involved in tribal development. Now, for biosphere reserve, there is a core region and there is an outer region of biosphere reserve. In this core region, no human activity is allowed, but in the outer regions, sometimes human activity is allowed. Also, it is only governed by the government and has a fixed territory. Now, if we talk about a national park protects flora, fauna, historical objects, and the entire environment of that particular region. Generally, there is no human activity allowed in the national parks. It is also governed only by the government and has specific boundaries. Further on, if you consider the wildlife sanctuary, this region only protects the wildlife and human activity is generally allowed in this region. Further on, Both government and private entities can govern this region, and there is no specific boundary to a wildlife sanctuary. So, this was some of the major differences between biosphere reserve, a wildlife sanctuary, and a national park. Moving on, if we talk about the Manas National Park, so it spans the Manas River, and the name originates from the river itself, the Manas River, which is a major tributary of the Brahmaputra River, and it is bounded to the north by the forest of Bhutan. As we have already discussed, this part is also shared by Bhutan, and in Bhutan it is known by the name Royal Manas National Park of Bhutan. So, this park is known for its rare and endangered endemic wildlife, such as the Assam roofed turtle, hispid hair golden dagur, and the famous pygmy hog. Pygmy hog is the smallest wild pig and it is categorized as critically endangered in the IUCN Red List. All other are categorized as endangered. This park is also famous for its population of wild water buffalo. Further on in 2005, the Assamese government took decision of reintroducing rhinos in the Manas National Park that was under the Indian Rhino Vision 2020, and the first rhino was translocated to the park in 2006, which was brought from Kaziranga National Park, that was from the Center for Wildlife Rehabilitation and Conservation near the Kaziranga National Park. So the five national parks of Assam are Manas, the Kaziranga National Park, the Kaziranga, Dibru Saikova, Nameri, and the Orang National Park. These are the five national parks of Assam. Out of these two, the Manas National Park and Dibru-Saikova National Park are also the biosphere reserves. And all five leaving the Dibru-Saikova are tiger reserves. The Manas and Dibru-Saikova are also the World Heritage Sites. So that's a wrap of today's edition of Places in News. I hope you liked the video. For regular updates, you can follow us on our social media handles. And for more such videos, do stay tuned to the Next IAS YouTube channel.